Venus in Aquarius. And I have Venus in Aquarius, so we will use me as an example for a lot of these. And reading from a book here for the Venus in the Signs series. As a pre-existing pattern, Venus in Aquarius, individuals are and have been rebelling against or liberating themselves from common value systems and relationship forms as defined by the consensus of the society they live in. The causal factor that generates this rebellion is an emphasized feeling within the psychology of Venus and Aquarius people of being different, a sense of cultural alienation or estrangement. As a result of this archetype, these individuals learn about the nature of their individuality, the feeling of being different, through a process of elimination. An awareness of what they are not that precedes an ongoing awareness of who and what they are. Now, as usual, there's a huge spectrum when it comes to this and different experiences with different people. I just give you an example of how this can work, how simple this can be, or normal anyway. When I grew up Catholic. I went to a Catholic school, and I played for the Catholic basketball league for my school. And I already had a lot of experience playing basketball at home, so I started playing. 5th grade was the first year I played for an organized team, and I made the 6th grade team. It was called the C team, and that was the good team. And I made the team, but I was number, say, 10 or 11 or 12 on the team. There's like 10, 12 guys on the team. I was at the bottom of that team. Obviously, being in the 5th grade, you have the 6th graders above you as well. And this coach, I never played. He would never play me. And we were winning championships, etc. And I started rebelling. And this is an example. Like, you think some people might think this is normal. I thought this was normal. I was rebelling and arguing and complaining that I wasn't getting playing time. And everyone on the team, this is the society. They're like, why are you complaining? We're winning. Who cares that you're not playing? You're a part of a team. You're thinking about yourself. And I'm like, I'm thinking about myself. I get 30 seconds. And the worst part is he'll throw you in the game for like 30 seconds at the end. Like, so it's just like, you're trying to embarrass me? Like, this is a joke. Don't even put me in. And these people did not get it. They did not get it at all. And then this went on to the 6th grade. Same thing when I went to the 6th grade. It started to happen, and then I was done. I left the team. But just wanted to use that as an example as this situation of me starting to realize I was different. The rebellion, even though I didn't think that was a rebellious situation, they all thought that I was being rebellious. So it can be like weird stuff like that too. Like, it's not even. It's really a lot of this has to do with what the consensus thinks. So I was estranged, alienated from the team, etc. A perfect example on a collective level that illustrates this archetype was in the 1960s when Uranus was in Libra. Naturally, Venus ruled. At that time, there was a massive rebellion among young people against the prevailing consensus, social value system, society, and the ways that society expected intimate or marriage-type relationships. So he gets into the 60s when people were rebelling against marriage and wanted free love. Uranus in Libra. Experimenting with different forms of relationships. Even though the archetypal intent of Venus in Aquarius is to rebel against the prevailing consensus of the existing society, there are 3 reactions to this intention as reflected in the people who have it in their birth chart. The first reaction is one where absolute rebellion against everything that the consensus symbolizes. Now, this is not me, so this is where he gets into like different versions. These people that feel totally disconnected from society, their parents, and they'll really rebel from everything, and they'll join forces with groups of people that stand apart from the consensus. He cites the punk rockers of the 80s. This too, when you're thinking of, like, a lot of people look into astrology, they think of like Aquarius as being rebellious, and I think most people that are in that are in astrology circles don't really know what this archetype can do, and where like I don't know if they, because they don't want to, like, real truly rebellious people live hardcore lives, and I don't think most people in the astrology world want to be around that. That's why it's not talked about. He talks about a little bit about it in here, but I've been around them and they're not people that I want to be around. I mean, I don't even think any of them would ever listen to this, because they wouldn't believe in astrology. Let's see. The causal factor that generates the necessary rebellion or liberation from the prevailing consensus of social values and expectations that these values create in general, and the way of being in relationships specifically, is detachment. Sign of Aquarius is to objectify in a non-emotional way the nature of reality. So Venus in Aquarius will detach so that they can objectify things and see. So it says here, in order to objectify anything, the ego within the consciousness must separate itself from its subjective reality. Detachment becomes necessary. This is like the separation from Capricorn, or the bridge between Capricorn and Pisces. You have to separate and detach yourself from society to see this dynamic, and then you can move into the spiritual state and see the unity of it all in Pisces and the transcendence. If this did not occur, growth would not be possible, and a state of absolute crystallization would occur. The three possible ways that Venus in Aquarius individual can react to the archetypal intent of liberation or rebellion from the prevailing consensus of social values and expectations, and the ways of being in relationship, will determine specific value associations and the meaning they generate. Venus in Aquarius will form social relationships with people of like mind. They will want to be with people of like mind. I struggle with this. Let's just say that. I think it's really hard to find people of like mind, especially in the workplace. And when it comes to making money and things like that, it's a very, very difficult situation to be in. To be able to inwardly relate to themselves as an individual, to have individual meaning, is to be part of a larger social group. It is from this larger social group of shared values and the meaning that these values create that the Venus and Aquarius person will choose whom to be in intimate relationships with. The group that the Venus and Aquarius person who's in absolute rebellion to the consensus, including their peer group, will not be able to relate to any existing social grouping of people. So there's this extreme independence, individualism. They will only be able to relate to people on an individual basis, other people who are socially alienated and as iconoclastic as themselves. They will dress, appear, think, and relate themselves to others. All of this way, they will be complete rebellion. It will show through their dress, their appearance, their thinking. This is like the really intense version of this. The intensity of this vibration will naturally create an insecure and defensive reaction in all other people who are not like themselves. This occurs because the vibration and values of rebellion naturally challenge the security of all others who are aligned with social groups of one kind or another. The security dynamic being linked with others of like mind. It's this idea of being attracted to things that are different. There could be relationships that are intimate relationships that are only sustained for short lengths of time because they have this desire this desire of a freedom to explore and experiment with life. There could be a rebellion against the idea of commitment in relationship, which leads to rebellion against the values associated with monogamy. And it gets into the second type of Venus and Aquarius people. There's not quite so absolutist and isolated. They will relate to their immediate social group who are rebelling against existing society and the prevailing social values and ways of being in relationship that are expected by society. Could be social misfits, irresponsible, narcissistic, immature. Calls this the generational gap, people that exist in a generation gap between two generations. Because the majority of these individuals are not defined at an individual soul level through the desire of individual liberation or rebellion from the consensus, this social group becomes assimilated or absorbed into the mainstream as they become older. So he considers this group is like the hippies of the 60s and 70s who became the yuppies in the 80s. They kind of become accepted. I think this is a group that I would fall into maybe a little bit. It's like you can rebel, but then people are still accepting you. Again, it's not that extreme rebellion where like you wouldn't even be doing this. You wouldn't be doing astrology. You wouldn't be an astrologer. You wouldn't do the things that I do socially. As this Venus in Aquarius becomes older, they begin to assimilate into the existing social system. They effectively rebel against the very rebellion that motivated them in youth as an extension of their immediate peer group. This could be, Venus in Aquarius is a good friend. Having these situational values, you make friends like that. You value friendship. Learn about friendship. The third type of Venus in Aquarius mentioned above is very much a rebel in the sense of rebelling against not only their peer group, but all people who live a contemporary lifestyle. They identify with value systems associated with another time, the past. They will appear very conservative, traditional, and iconoclastic as a result of this, and they will only form social or intimate relationships with those of like mind. They will advocate social causes or revolution linked with challenging the existing value system of society at large. They can seem just as superior, arrogant, judgmental, and angry as the other two types of Venus and Aquarius people. Though the value system that they orientate to is generally very limited and rigid, and their attitude is typically one of righteous authoritarian who has the self-created right to impose those values on all others. So maybe there's like more closer to the consensus. That they could be in the consensus, they could be political. In their intimate relationships, the Venus and Aquarius person is generally a good friend. Again, talking about this idea of friend. Most have the intrinsic ability to understand objectively the reality and individuality of their partner, to understand how and why their partner is the way that they are. This is like frustrating as a Venus and Aquarius person, I think, when you're in a relationship with somebody and they think that you're smothering them in a sense, or that they don't have freedom and that they don't have individuality, and you're like, as a Venus and Aquarius person, you're like, If you think that being with me, you're losing your individuality, then wait till you get Wait till you get in a relationship with anybody else. You know, it's just like that's what I'm thinking as a Venus and Aquarius person. I'm like, you have almost absolute freedom with someone like me. You could go. It's like you could go away for months. I'm not gonna. I'll be occupied. I will find something to do. I will not be. I will not be worried in the least bit. I mean, that pretty much sums it up. They can also be very adept at posing questions and leaving it at a question level in such a way that one receiving the question creates a gestation with their own consciousness, leading to the answer from within themselves. This is like the discovery mode of teaching. This is what I've gravitated to, as far as in teaching and learning, is the discovery mode. At least from a theoretical standpoint, that's what I'm most interested in, letting people discover things for themselves. I mean, practically, I might not be like that, but that's what I strive to do. By nature, the Venus and Aquarius person is not monogamous. They need the basic freedom in order to manifest their cyclic or perpetual changes. There's an inherent rebellion against restriction in any form. I mean, I think that's partially true, but the Venus and Aquarius person, you have to look at the whole chart and the person and things like that. But like if I use myself as an example, I would say I'm monogamous, but I'm not against. If I was against monogamy or if I was for polygamy, it would be more or less like this is the way I would state it. If I find somebody else, say I'm in a relationship, and I find someone else who offers me something that you can't offer me that I need to learn, or that like an attractiveness or like something spectacular, which is very unlikely anyway, then I would seek to have some type of agreement that I could pursue that for that interest. But I still want to have my partner. I mean, it gets weird like that. It's like, but it's like, and it's the same thing all for the other person. Look, if you find some situation that you like some dream guy, and then by all means go for it, and let's take a break and see what happens. But here's the thing: the perspective of the other person. This is how I think that they're gonna get it wrong. When I say like a better person, like my better person would be someone like I'm gonna just the first of mine. This is like an extreme example, like Pamela Anderson. If you don't know who Pamela Anderson is in her prime, like she was one of those Baywatch girls. That's what I'm talking about. Like, so they would have to be that spectacular. That's just an extreme example. For me, it's not just like, oh, I'm attracted to another person because, or there have to be something like special, really special. If it wasn't on that level and that was the other person, I would be like, all right, you're crazy. This is not gonna work. You're not cheating on me, or we're not breaking up for that reason. That's silly. It's got to be like a Pamela Anderson type. Let's see. Got off on a tangent here. He's saying the Venus and Aquarius person needs freedom to engage in many different. See, that's coming from me. Other people may have not really know what they like and things like that. So Venus and Aquarius can be there for that reason because they're figuring out what they like, who they like, etc. The Venus and Aquarius person needs a partner who is very secure within themselves. They require a partner who is willing to challenge the existing consensus of what life means in general and how to be in relationships specifically. They need a partner who is willing to cyclically change the dynamics in the relationship or to change as necessary. They need a partner who is intellectually sophisticated and who can match or keep up with their own thinking process. This thinking process is typically eclectic in some way and fast-moving. It can be very difficult for the Venus and Aquarius person to truly love or respect another if they do not intellectually respect them. There's a fundamental need to experiment with different values and look at life differently. This person has a very deep inner attachment from within themselves. uses words like cool, calm, detached. Then it gets into, of course, other factors can condition all this. Gets into some examples. Can be very erratic, unpredictable in their life directions. And we talk about Uranus changing signs every 7 years. If I look at my life, it literally has changed dramatically every 7 years. Some people will respond to that with these kinds of placements. Some people won't. Sudden, unexpected behaviors. The words that come from their mouths might be unexpected and upsetting. Quick on their feet, can adapt to changing life conditions or social situations. Sexually speaking, the Venus and Aquarius person will reflect the sexual values that are reflected in their immediate peer group. A group, again, that is rebelling against the existing sexual values of consensus society. So again, it's most people, even if you have Venus and Aquarius, will reflect the values of the group. If you are Venus and Aquarius and you're in the consensus, you'll reflect the values of the consensus. If you're in a smaller peer group, like my peer group, growing up, I kind of reflected them, but it's, or at least you will be learning from them. Really, it comes down to what group you're in, from a consensus standpoint. Simply stated, if the existing consensus advocates free sex or non-monogamy, then this group as youth will rebel against this and promote monogamy. Oh, so he's saying that they'll rebel against the consensus. Conversely, if the existing consensus advocates monogamy, then this group as a youth will rebel against this and promote non-monogamy. Oh, that's weird. Need to experiment, discover they naturally are through the process of illumination. Could be bizarre from the point of what's considered normal. Asexual responses. Could be very observational during sex, where it feels as if they're watching themselves and their partners. There again, the idea of being detached. Unpredictable again. For the evolution to proceed, the Venus in Aquarius must embrace its opposite, Leo. The essence of this evolutionary lesson is for Venus and Aquarius people to learn how to separate themselves from the immediacy of their group, but to actualize their own unique and specific value systems. So that's Venus and Aquarius, and I'm going to leave it there for now, and thanks for watching.